Interference is a pretty interesting film and quite special for a few reasons. This was released in 1928. It's directed by Lothar Mendes and Roy J. Pomeroy, and we have a screenplay by Hope Loring with dialogue from Ernest Pascal and a cast including William Powell, Evelyn Brent, Clive Brook and Doris Kenyon. And it's worth noting that this is apparently Paramount's first all-talking feature film. It was originally written as a sound film. The sound version was directed by Lothar Mendes, and then they decided to make it a sound film directed by Roy J. Pomeroy, which is obviously quite exciting. And this is very exciting for me because this is the first time I get to hear Doris Kenyon speaking. I've been watching her silent films, and I don't know if this is her first talkie, if I remember rightly. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think there might have been one talkie before this that she was in, but it is currently a lost film. But for me, this is her first talkie. And then I realised it was primarily set in England, and we had kind of American British accents, which I'll talk more about in a moment. So I'm not convinced I've heard Doris Kenyon's actual voice, her actual accent, but nevertheless, it was still exciting, and I'll talk more about those accents in a moment. The film focuses on a character called Philip, who was apparently killed during the war, but he actually wasn't, and he lives in London under a different identity. And his former romantic interest, Deborah, discovers this. She learns that he's actually still alive, and she's still annoyed that he allegedly left her for the woman who then became his wife. And Deborah knows that since Philip was presumed dead, his wife remarried after his apparent death. But technically, she would still be married, so she couldn't have remarried, even though nobody knew Philip was still alive. And Deborah realizes that she can do something with this information and cause some blackmail to get what she wants, which is ultimately getting Philip back. And her actions might get quite dark. The narrative is great. The pacing is great. It got to the point immediately, and I didn't expect that. I really thoroughly enjoyed that. And the characters are really well written. Deborah in particular is really interesting. Not necessarily likable, as I don't agree with her actions, but her character is certainly fascinating. The film itself is quite unpredictable in a way that's really enjoyable. The characters have some unpredictable behaviours, particularly Deborah, because she is very fascinating, very well written, and I really had no idea just how far she would take things or where the film would end up. I really enjoyed the journey, and I won't say what happened, but I enjoyed the destination because for me, it just was not predictable at all. And the voices? Well, certainly the voices are crisp and clear. Even almost 100 years later, with the surviving copies, it's quite easy to understand them. The sound is absolutely fine, but the accents are kind of awkward, but not uncommon. A lot of earlier films did have this kind of hybrid British-American accent, so it's not unique to this film. A lot of actors, theatrical actors, were trained in this kind of accent. It's kind of like received pronunciation, but with hard R's. So it's the British received pronunciation, but with the stronger R's one could expect from a more American accent. And that's why I don't believe I'm necessarily hearing Doris Kenyon's real accent, but still hearing her talk was an absolute joy. And the accents they're fine. They're okay. For the time, they're what one could have expected, but certainly hearing this received pronunciation, but then the hard R's, it's a little bit annoying, but generally it's not unexpected and it's not unusual for the time period. The film has good set designs, good camera work, it's a solid story, great characters, suspenseful, not overly dramatic, but certainly dramatic enough, and I really thoroughly enjoyed it. Interference is quite a special film for multiple reasons, and if it sounds like a film for you, needless to say, I'm very happy to recommend it.